Okay, hi guys. Welcome to the Inspired Youth Summit. I'm really excited to get to know you all and learn about your experience during COVID. I think we should maybe start off with some introductions, maybe how old you are, where you come from, and what year you're in, and maybe some of your favorite activities.
So I'm 18, I'm from Portugal. I live near the seaside. I'm heading to university now, so I finished high school. And I intend to study international relationships. I'm into international politics, more on a humanitarian level. So for me, being here with people from different countries is very, very nice, even very, very interesting.
Hello everyone, my name is Oda. I am 15 years old. I'm from Bavaria, which is in Germany. And I really like reading and mostly about things that concern our world right now, how it is in the current state, and things about the environment, and just learn about the things that are current topics.
Yeah, that's correct. Hi, my name is Wong, but you can just address me as Ling. I'm 14 years old this year. I'm currently in year 9, but I'm transitioning to year 10 in September. And hobbies of mine can include singing. I enjoy playing the piano, and I enjoy reading.
Hi, I'm Thalia. I'm from the UK, but I lived in Malaysia for about 9 years, but I moved back here a couple of years ago. I've just finished doing my GCSEs, which is a bit of a mess because of COVID. And in September, I'm going to do my A-levels at college. I'm planning on studying physics, maths, and geography. I don't really know what I want to do, but I do want to make a difference somehow.
My name is Rasheeqa, and I'm going to year 10. My hobbies are photography and reading, and I'm 15 years old.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I am 18 years old. I am Italian, and I just graduated from IB. And since I don't know what to do next, I'll be taking a gap year in Denmark, as I have lived there for 2 years and I really like it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Megan. I'm from Ireland. I'm 16 years old. My hobbies include I do a lot of sport and a lot of drama and acting. And in the future, I really want to travel to experience different cultures and meet new people.
So I'm Francesca. I'm 17. I'm going to be 18 in a few weeks. I just graduated high school in Denmark. But my mom is from Canada and my dad is from Italy. I'm really excited to speak with you all today because I think COVID was something so weird and so out of the ordinary. And I think we all have a lot to say, especially because we're from so many different places around the world. So let's get started then. All right, let's move on to the next one. Coping strategies. Obviously, isolation was really hard. So how did you guys cope with being isolated? What were some of, what did you guys do? Oda?
Well, at first I thought being isolated is an interesting experience, and because that never happened to me before. And I actually thought, well, a bit of quiet environment couldn't be bad, just relaxing for some time. But over the time, it just got worse and worse. Because I just couldn't socialize enough. I mean, I've got a lot of friends and family members, and I really like talking to people in real life. And when I was being isolated, I just missed them really much, and I couldn't wait to see them all again. And well, I also live in a quite rural area, so I couldn't just go in front of their window and just wave them and say hello, just so that you can see them or anything. I just felt really isolated in my home because if there aren't many houses around you and you can't even talk to your neighbors or meet with them, it's not a really nice experience. And it was really tough not being able to visit your closest relatives. And what I have to say was really difficult, not only for me, but I think for many, many people, was not being able or not being allowed to worship anything in the church, like in any church, when people couldn't go to their church and worship what they wanted to, because for some people that's a really important point and something that's maybe the most important point in their life. And if they aren't able to do that, a really great part of their lives are missing, and not just being like arrested at home, but also missing this kind of religious experience.
For sure, 100%. Especially a lot of people were affected by COVID, and I know a lot of people turned to prayer in these difficult times. So yeah, that must have been really hard. Does anyone have any other things they would like to say about how they were coping?
I actually started drawing and baking. It was a way to relieve stress. And I felt when I bake or draw, it made me feel like this is where I belong. I never really felt alone or isolated whenever I do anything that made me happy. And I also started reading a few books, mainly fantasy, because they take me to a different area, not where I'm really at. So that was kind of stress relieving and made me happy. So coping with myself and being isolated made me kind of find myself.
That's amazing. That's great. Does anyone want to say anything else?
I had something similar with the kind of like escapism part of it. I kind of turned to nostalgia, so I started doing things that I did when I was a lot younger. So I'd like maybe some games I would go back to, like, oh yeah, I remember doing this as a child, and it kind of let me not think about what was going on too much, and I think that was good to an extent. But I'm also quite lucky. I do have two sisters that I do get along with quite well. So going in and seeing them and seeing how they're doing was really good. It was good.
Rodrigo, would you like to say something?
Yeah, maybe I'm repeating myself, but getting off social media was actually the best thing I did to cope with being isolated, because as Andrea said, it's not real, it's not genuine, it's dry. So the fact that I was, okay, I'm isolated, so let's focus on myself. And the fact that I got off social media, it was really, really nice, because I could start having time to read, to run, and that was actually good for my mental health. Of course, I'm not saying it should be a radical change. I don't think you should throw your phone into the garbage can, of course not, but giving you time for yourself was is actually important, and it was actually very important for me.
That's good to hear. Would anyone else like to say anything?
Well, I would like to add something that isn't really about coping with the isolation, but rather about the isolation itself. So I have to say, as I see that the pandemic is worldwide and everyone was affected by it or is affected by it, I think it builds a huge community, and I think that's the reason why you don't feel so alone, because you know many people have got the same experience and problems or similar problems. And what really helped me was always trying to stay optimistic and cheer others up too. Well, whenever someone wanted to talk, I was always there for them, and I sometimes pretended to be happy just to spread joy. And when I saw that people around me got happier too, I was happy too. So it was kind of giving them hope and receiving hope back, and not just complaining all day, but just comforting each other and helping each other was such an important part in building solidarity. You mentioned the example of people playing music on balconies together. That actually happened a lot of times in Germany too. And I think it was a thing I always looked forward to, because I don't know, but whenever I saw people doing this, I just felt the connection between them and felt just like really good because you knew that they were just in a community where they still, even if they are being isolated and in a home or just sit there all day, they just meet up in the evening or stand on the balconies and sing, play music, which is such a great experience. And I think it was a great help to many, many people.
I'm really glad to hear that. I personally struggled a lot during COVID, and I didn't really have good coping strategies, but actually with social media, which I think is really important, and also my community, I learned how to deal with what I was feeling better. And it was also nice to know that everyone was kind of going through the same thing, sadly, but it was comforting in a way. Would anyone like to say anything else about their time? Maybe Ling?
I think I'm generally kind of an introverted person, so it wasn't much of a struggle for me. However, like the pandemic has isolated me so much so to the point where I felt very alone. So one of my coping mechanisms was to call up and phone up friends and family members from all over the country just to make sure that they're feeling okay and they're fine, because it sort of gives me a comforting feeling because it reassures me that they're perfectly fine. So checking in like maybe once a week or twice a week can kind of reassure you that they're perfectly fine and it's not in like any pain or stuff like that.
That's so good to hear. I wanted to say that I'm also a bit quite introverted, and when the restrictions came off, it was kind of hard for me to actually go back into normal life. Did anyone else have that feeling, or anyone? What was it like? Have you guys been able to kind of resume to normal life at all, or what's that?
For me, it's like all the restrictions in the UK were kind of like they're gone now from the 19th of July. So it's been quite strange. But since leaving school, I've not really seen many people. I've kind of been like at home, and then I'd go to work for like 4 days a week, and then I come back home and it's like I'm not seeing anyone. So in a way, it's kind of like still in lockdown, but it's more just myself because I'm also quite introverted. So I think I definitely want to like work on that and try and get out and see people more. It's just like hard to do, especially because I've not done it for so long.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand. It was really weird as well, having to have that face-to-face interaction after not having that for so long. And it's like, what do I do? Would anyone else like to say anything?
Well, at first I felt like it was going to be difficult too. We still have some restrictions now, but I think it was mostly over in April because we were able to go back to school then too. And during the lockdown, I did a lot of relaxing things like walking or going on a walk outside, doing indoor sports or chatting with my friends for a really long time and reading interesting books. And I thought it was going to be weird or maybe no fun if I go back to my normal life again, where I can't do all of these things, or maybe things I didn't do for a long time, but then during lockdown started doing them again because I just had the time. And I thought it was going to be sad or weird or anything like this if I can't do it anymore when I go back to my normal life. But to be honest, I think there just wasn't a monotonous life because even if you can't do these things, there's so many things outside and you meet your friends again and you can go to a park or anything. So you don't really miss these things. But I think maybe in a few months or weeks, it might feel weird again, and you might feel like you are missing something again. But the whole pandemic thing made me think about my routines and my hobbies so much that I think if you really plan what you want to do, you will be able to do it too. Maybe if you've got a new hobby now, you can still keep it. It's not like you can't do it at all because you're back at school or maybe just back at work or anything.
Yeah, I definitely cherish a lot of what I'm capable of doing now. Definitely made me more grateful the pandemic. Would anyone like to say anything else about other coping strategies before we move on to the next topic?
I think especially at the start of COVID, I definitely put more negatives over positives. We were told we were going to be in lockdown for 2 weeks, so I didn't really say a proper goodbye or anything to my friends, and I wasn't used to online school. So when we got told it was going to be for more than 2 weeks, I kind of started panicking and thinking about the negatives more, but slowly turned them into positives and were able to FaceTime my friends. And again, they knew what I was going through and I knew what they were going through. And I turned more to my hobbies, which is sport. I started working out more, and I think that you're able to work on yourself a lot more. And I definitely learned a lot more in COVID than I would without COVID. And I think I've become definitely a different person, but in a good way. And yeah.
That's really good to hear. It was definitely a time for learning a lot, also learning about grief and also especially in online school as well, just how to manage your time properly and how to really even be a better student as well, which was something I had to learn to really be self-sufficient during school.